A lot of jobs do not go advertised here. They go to the people who have worked here.
A student comes here, once they land in Australia, within 6 to 12 months, what is that which changes?
I can roughly divide that into two type of cohorts. One cohort which is very career minded. There is another cohort which is migration driven. They see Australia as an opportunity to find work. The students who are having really good grades, they have no idea how to select the university. One advice I would like to give them, the range of teaching, the quality of teaching and learning
Correct.
doesn't vary too much. Your decision should be based on what course I'm going to study, how many universities are giving this course, and within that course, what is that particular component that I'm looking for.
The increase in the way the student market is going in terms of visa refusals. How can a student profile be to a level what is required for the Australian government coming for generalized courses? How is this lens needs to change?
When students are looking at particular course and they want to achieve an employability, they basically need to see whether a generalized course is going to address my employability at the end of it or not. I really want to see what is your commitment to the job.
Which is not defined by what degree
No.
you do.
A lot of jobs do not go advertised here. They go to the people who have worked here.
What do you think that the way current counseling happens, what more needs to be added?
We are basically addressing Gen Z here. We need world-class technology. We need students who are going to become that future workforce. Flinders University is playing an important role in getting those students ready for those jobs.
Wow.
South Australia is a capital of space industry for Australia. There are more than 100 space-related companies which are already established their shops in South Australia. I personally known some people who finished their, let's say, mechanical engineering. Instead of going into traditional mechanical jobs, they have gone to space industries. It's all happening. Thousands of jobs are going to come, and we are still looking for the answers.
Where is the workforce?
Where is the workforce coming from?
Gorakh, thank you so much for joining today for this wonderful conversation in the most interesting times in the current international education industry. You have, you are, in at Flinders University and in this industry since a decade, serving on the position of regional manager. What, in your opinion, has changed in the international education industry to a greater extent from how it was before?
Thank you, Ridhii, for having me on this podcast. Um, and just to address your question, a lot of things have changed in this industry, and I wouldn't go that far back. Let's say from COVID.
Right.
After COVID, the industry exploded because there was demand there, which was building up for a while.
Correct.
And we all saw the demand coming to Australia. Australia also benefited from the demand because they wanted that workforce, part-time workforce, and the
Correct.
policies were tuned in a way to
Right.
promote that. So we saw that, but
Right.
there was also a flip side to that demand, like student attrition and student behavior, which frankly speaking, no one anticipated.
Right.
We as providers didn't see this is coming, or the
Right.
government also did not think this is coming.
Right.
We all learned from it fairly quickly.
Correct.
And from 24 onwards, a lot of ministerial directions came into force. Obviously, last year, whole ethos was revamped. So what I can say in a nutshell is this industry is going through constant change.
Correct.
And as you opened this discussion saying this is interesting time, so the change is still happening.
Right.
I wouldn't say for sure that change will not continue or will be stop here.
Right.
There's no way to tell whether it will stop. But as you and me are operating for like few years in this industry, one thing that is constant is change, and we need to adapt to this industry and Australian demands as and when they surface.
Correct. No, that is a very, very good insight that, which you correctly said that more than a decade ago, since COVID itself, we see a lot of shift overall. And I think, as you said, not only in the Australian market, we can see in across all the sectors possible. What do you think that, a student comes here, right? Okay. And once they land in Australia, within 6 to 12 months, what is that which changes when they land over here in Australia?
Uh, if I had to go back in the student journey, so they land, but the journey starts anywhere between 6 to 18 months before.
Correct.
And if you go back and see what is the motivation for students to come to Australia to study,
Correct.
I can roughly divide that into two type of cohorts.
Correct.
One cohort which is very career minded and career specific. They have they have courses and jobs in mind, and that's what they. And of course, Australia is a great workplace,
Correct.
one of the most aspirational countries. So they want to come here and do that. That's one cohort which is very seriously committed to
Agree.
the entire episode. There is another cohort which is migration driven.
Very true.
They see at Australia as an opportunity to find work. And the best way, obviously, there are different ways to come in,
Correct.
but they think the shortest and the most effective is come as a student, get the education. And that also reflects in their behavior in terms of choosing the courses.
Agreed.
So this is the cohort which will be choosing more of social work, more of nursing in a South Asian context. If you broadly look at Asian context or North Asian context, this is the cohort which will be doing more of childcare and education related courses. So there are two different cohorts, roughly speaking,
Roughly speaking, yes.
we are talking about. So the first cohort, which is serious about their careers, when they come here, they they adjust fairly quickly because
Right.
they don't lose sight of what they want to achieve in their life.
Correct.
Yes, it's a difficult undertaking, new culture, new language, new people,
Absolutely.
new learning style. Everything is new, but they adjust fairly quickly. And I've seen hundreds of such students coming here. They don't lose focus on what they want to achieve. At the end, what they do is finish their degree, get their first jobs. And I'm not saying that getting a job is easy,
I agree.
like anywhere in the world, but they do everything in their powers to get ready for the job market.
Correct.
They get their jobs, they buy house, they buy cars, and they settle, and eventually they become an integral part of Australian work culture.
Right.
Now let's talk about the second cohort, which is migration driven. So this cohort comes here, and this is the cohort which changes their plans.
Right.
Because you're talking about a migration outcome which is going to happen 3 to 5 years down the line.
Yes, and you don't know what's going to happen 3 to 5
You
years.
have no idea. You're thinking, oh, maybe social work is better for me. Maybe nursing is better for me. I mean, the assumptions are fairly validated, I can say that, but there is no guarantee because Australia adjusts their migration policies more often than anybody can think.
Absolutely.
Twice a year to be precise.
Absolutely.
So you can be in a shock when you realize that my course is not working.
Correct.
A lot of these students come with fairly ordinary courses or very generic courses, and then coming here, they realize maybe this course is not going to get my migration outcome faster, and they switch. And
Absolutely.
this cohort is where the challenges are.
Right.
This cohort shifts their plans.
Right.
This is the cohort which also then thinks of doing another degree or another course over the period.
Correct.
So the changing plans majorly happens with this cohort. So how to address this is do not look at migration as an outcome. Go by your
Very
passion.
clearly said.
If you are interested, if you see yourself working in medical equipments, biomedical is what you should be doing. If you see yourself working in cybersecurity environment, get that as a profession, get that as a course, because if you follow your passion, you will get jobs. And migration is an automatic, eventually going to happen.
Eventually going to happen. Very true. And I think you rightly said one thing as well, that students often miss to understand that, let's say if a student wants to go in a particular program which is migration driven, let's say even speak about hypothetically an example, hospitality, right, for example, but they don't, even being in Australia, they do not cook.
Yeah.
Or they don't know how to cook, or they don't learn how to cook, for example, right? And then they end up that, oh, I want to pursue a cookery program, right? Okay, correct. So if such a small level program as well is so difficult, someone who's looking to pursue teaching, social work, education, these are mammoth sized programs, as you just mentioned, right? Okay. Eventually they may not even able to be passing those courses, right? Okay. And that's a very good insight, that not to go short term, right? And I think more focus on something which is more a practical approach, where things are constantly changing, right? Okay. Gorak, there are currently, what would you say the biggest misconception is there in students currently before they come to Australia? What is their biggest misconception? I'm sure there are many, but in your opinion, what are those?
There are two big misconceptions, and the first one is really big, and I always laugh when I get these questions when I talk to students, prospective students who are considering coming to Australia. And the root for that misconception lies in the society, the educational society they come
Right.
from. Let's say, let's define this for South Asia. So the educational framework and the whole environment is very different to Australia.
Very true.
So the students who are having really good grades and really career minded, they think while selecting the universities, they have no idea how to select the universities,
Right.
and they select universities based on different factors, right?
Correct.
So one advice I would like to give them is Australia has more than 40 plus public universities here. Uh, the range of teaching, the quality of teaching and learning
Correct.
doesn't vary too much.
Right.
I mean, I can fairly say all universities are doing a fairly good job.
That's such an honest feedback and such an honest statement which you just made.
Yeah, and the standards are uh, very respectable by world standards.
Right.
The standards are genuinely followed by the universities.
Right.
So whether you come to University X or University Y,
Correct.
doesn't make a huge difference, right? So
Right.
your decision shouldn't be based on what university should I pick. Your decision should be based on what course I'm going to study,
Right.
how many universities are giving this course, and within that course, what is that particular component that I'm looking for? What
Fantastic.
is that particular exposure that I'm looking for? That's where universities might differ.
Right.
Some universities might be doing a particular component really, really well. Some
Absolutely.
universities may be doing something else very well. So even if on the surface level, a lot of course names sound similar,
Mhm.
start digging deep inside and
Right.
find out that first. So the biggest misconception is, going by university based on, let's say, ranking in this case.
Correct.
That doesn't truly hold here.
Correct.
If I'm and I'll tell you by example and experience after living in Australia for some time. If there is a student who is looking for a job, I'm going to purely judge him or her based on what they have learned and what they bring to the table, not based on which university.
Which
they went
university
for.
they
Yeah,
study,
that
yeah.
doesn't really mind or matter too much to me. Now, this is the biggest misconception, because if you look at in South Asian context, that doesn't really happen. Which
Completely.
university you come from actually makes a lot of difference.
Absolutely.
Here it doesn't, because even if 40 plus university, the standards are fairly good. So I think this is what students should keep in mind about about choosing universities and choosing their journey coming here.
Correct. And I think you rightly said, because I think the student notion also needs to understand that their personal skills, their soft skill upgradation plays an entire very big role.
Yeah.
So if the outcome is that I want a job and so I am going to this university, or this course may not just be enough, as you said, that it is their own value adding what they do during this experience of coming to Australia, juggling from studies to part-time jobs to even networking and making what benefit out of it as a whole ecosystem makes a lot of difference. My another part of the conversation, which, look, I am conversing this question with a lot of industry leaders such as yourself, and everyone would have their own opinion. The increase in the way the student market is going in terms of visa refusals currently, right? Okay, correct. Specifically from South Asia, but I would also say that I know that you've worked fair amount on Southeast Asia as well, right? Even in Southeast Asia also, I can see that trend, going a bit in the similar direction, right? Yeah. How would you state that how can a student profile be to a level what is required for the Australian, government, or rather from from Flinders perspective? Let me put it that way.
Yeah. So let's take a step back in terms of these changes. What has prompted these changes?
Correct.
Understanding that
Is very
landscape
important.
is very, very important. So the international education plays an important role within Australian environment, because they feed into the jobs, they feed into future migration.
Correct.
So it's a very important aspect that we must recognize, right?
Right.
So Australia has certain measures in place.
Mhm.
They have certain expectations in place.
Agree.
And as I said before, the requirements keep changing.
Correct.
So Australia has very specific profiles in their mind. So
Right.
if you don't happen to be matching that profile,
Correct.
you will be in for a surprise, or you may be, just to be very plain and simple, you may be rejected because
Absolutely.
it's very well regulated. In that sense, Australia differs very much if you compare big four, let's say Canada, US, and
US,
UK.
yeah.
It's very different environment.
Very different
It's
environment.
probably the toughest.
Most the
Rules,
toughest,
yeah,
yes.
rules have been spelled out clearly. But if you don't happen to align with that,
Mhm.
then and you are a student, then probably this is not should not be your destination, because they have very clear requirements out there. And if you look at Australia is a migrant country, same as US, right? But
Correct.
the way Australia has driven all these migration programs, and as I said, education forms to be an important aspect of it, is very, very well regulated.
Correct.
And very clearly defined and spelled out. So I think my advice would be, see whether you align with that, and that's really important.
That's very important. In order to ensure that a student's profile is as per the expectation, which is completely currently a variable component, because there is no set instructions at this point in time. But in your opinion, right, as we know that funding plays a very big role when it comes to Australia profiling, right? What is like funding to define for a student who's looking to, acquire their dreams in Australia?
So there is a reason why the government is paying extra attention to funding.
Correct.
At least at this time. And if I look at from COVID onwards, this is probably 5 years in a post-COVID scenario,
Right.
where funding has been given way too much importance, because government also has learned from the past that students who do not have strong funding are the ones who struggle here, because let's acknowledge this is an expensive purchase.
Absolutely.
It is lifetime decision for you, but it is very, very expensive. And going back to the basics, if you can't afford it, let's say you want to buy a Mercedes tomorrow, but if you can't afford it, what's going to happen is you're borrowing from other sources and making that dream happen.
Correct.
You actually don't have the capacity.
Right.
So if you use the same analogy, it's very important in current scenario that you figure out whether you have the capacity.
I agree.
To fund this education. And as I said, it's anywhere upward of 200,000, depending on the course. Anywhere upward 200,000 Australian dollars is what you're committing. So the government now wants to see whether you have that means where you can comfortably pay for your living cost here, pay for your course here. If not, then there is a problem.
There is a problem. So I think, it gives a very clear notion for the students who are actually listening to this specifically, that it's not that the Australia is closing the doors for international students, but it is just that if the student profile, and if they have adequate funding which is required for them to cover up their entire cost and living expense, not just 1 year, but the entire cost in a way, directly, indirectly, then, and if they are academically good and the intent is correct, then there is no problem when it comes to Australia. It is just that only in recent years, Australia has started giving very strong messaging, right? Okay, that we always had this in place, but now we are going to make sure that we look it to that people also 100% follow it when it comes to the profiling. And I think that's a very clear message for the students over here. Now, a lot of students, just like, right now, I mean, after bachelor's in India or bachelor's of business, we have seen a trend. A lot of students going for MBA. Right? And in fact, even still, a lot of students with BBA and BComs are going to MBAs as well, right? But when it comes to coming to abroad or coming to Australia, a lot of students think that they should coming for generalized courses. What do you think that how is this lens needs to change from a generalized courses to more specific type of career pathway, specifically from an employability point of view?
So I think you already touched base on my answer there. So employability is the key outcome here.
Okay.
So when students are looking at particular course and they want to achieve an employability, they basically need to see whether a generalized course is going to address my employability at the end of it or not.
Correct.
If not, then they need to basically go specialize. So I think there's a lot of preparation that they need to do in terms of where do I see myself, what kind of profession or career I want to do, and will this particular course take me there?
Correct.
Said that, there are a lot of students who would still not be sure about, let's say, in case of IT,
IT, yeah.
whether data science is what I like or cybersecurity is what I
Correct.
like. Then probably you go for a general course.
Okay.
But within that course, you have majors and
Minors.
specializations. You will have a placement opportunity and all the research opportunities for that matter. That's where you need to be quickly telling yourself, oh, I like this and I don't like this. So
Correct.
even if you have a specialized, not so specialized course, let's say Master of Information Technology, which
Right.
is fairly generic, right? And you chose that for a reason because
Correct.
you're not sure whether I like AI or I like data science or cybersecurity.
Correct.
But you figured out in first 6 months or 1 year that, oh, this is what my direction is. Let's say cybersecurity in this case. And second year, your placements, your research
Correct.
opportunities, you focus on that. That goes on your CV.
Right.
And when you go for the job, that's where you sell yourself, and that's where you show how serious you are about that. Because if I'm an employer and I'm employing you for cybersecurity, I really want to see what is their passion. What have you done?
Correct.
I would also like to see what have you done outside your course.
Right.
There are certificate course, there are hackathons. Have you done anything like that?
Any certifications apart from it? Yeah.
Absolutely. I really want to see what is your commitment to the job.
Right.
So-
I think that's a
yeah.
very good point you mentioned, that what is the commitment to the job, which is not defined by what degree
No.
you do.
No.
Right. Okay. Correct. And when it comes to, as we are just moving on to this aspect, right? How Flinders University has, how does it look like a life for a student coming to Flinders University? And this is specifically, I'm talking from a perspective for a student who will not find few information by talking to the people or looking to the web content, right? Yeah. What is that Flinders brings to the student, according to you?
Yeah. So if I had to point out one aspect where Flinders stands apart,
Correct.
is we are job focused, we are career focused.
Right.
And once you finish the course, you can't get the job straight away just because you finished the course, as you correctly mentioned.
Right.
Oh, so what do we do during the course? Yes, you need to study your subjects, you need to do your research, topics, placements, and all. But we have work integrated learning, which is imbibed in most of our courses. These work integrated learning opportunities are the one where we take the students to the workplace environment.
Fantastic.
So just imagine you're from University X where you have done a placement,
Right.
and you are from University Y where you haven't done the placement.
Right.
Who stands a better chance for the
Absolutely.
interview?
Someone who has
Someone who's
got
done it, right?
done it.
Number two is a lot of our students get the jobs where they have done the placements.
Right.
Because you have to understand how Australian workplace operates.
Correct.
I got, let's say, 25 employees working here. I got one of the interns from, let's say, Flinders University in this case. The boy or the girl is really good, has really good soft skills, want to learn,
Right.
asking questions. I will probably call them for summer placements because during December, I need someone to cover because people travel.
Indeed.
They go Christmas holiday. Once they continue after summer, go back. And if I have a job, whether it's casual, whether it is contract, because
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
who do you think gets the first call? So that particular person gets the first call. And this
Absolutely.
is how Australian workplace, a lot of jobs do not go advertised here. They go to the people who have worked here. They go to the people, and a lot of them are our students. And I'm sure other universities also have same experience because we place students way too early. And as a result, what happens is a lot of our employers actually do a screening test.
I was just going to come to that how, what is your affiliation with the employers currently in the real market scenario?
Yeah. So a lot of our employers, or let's say partners in this case,
Correct.
have a strict requirement. So if you're a good student, if you're committed, if you're doing everything possible to reach your learning goals, you will definitely meet their parameters. Some of them also have interviews to select the students.
Correct.
Why do you think they go to that length for, let's say, a placement?
For a placement.
Because they have things in mind that these are the students who are going to become our future
So it is
employees.
not that okay, it is just because it's a part of their course and they're just sent it. There's a
Now,
process
it's
which
a process.
goes.
It's very serious process. I mean, let's say in case of our MBA.
Right.
So in MBAs, placement is an integral part of our course.
Correct.
We have more placements to offer than the students to take. So this is the program we have developed deliberately in last 3 years. And if you look at MBA as a course, what is the crux of MBA? Placement is the course because it's all
Absolutely.
about hands-on learning. It's corporate exposure. If
Right.
I'm just putting you into the classroom and teaching you about leadership,
You're not going to learn.
you're not going to learn, right?
Right.
And engineering for that matter, we boast that all our engineers get placed within first 3 months. It's because
It's a
we
fantastic
get them to
insight.
the industry.
That's a fantastic insight. And Gorakh, in your experience, has it ever happened that, the university has is in touch with the employers and tried to develop few components and subjects within the program so that they are, ready, the youth is ready for the upcoming era? Has that happened with Flinders before?
Yes, it does happen with Flinders, and as I said, our entire focus is how industry relevant we are.
Correct.
Just to give an example, we have specific courses and programs developed for defense industry out here,
Wow.
and we have that exchange happening between the employers and Flinders University. So we are ahead in that space because we want to produce that workforce which is job ready.
Correct.
And the currency is very important. What you learned 10 years ago has all changed.
Has all
Every-
changed. The
yeah.
dollar value has completely changed. $100
Exactly.
value is no more $100 same.
It's not same.
Correct.
Just to give an example, we have a Tonsley campus,
Right.
which is a unique example within Australian environment where we are housed with 120 different companies, whether it is Siemens, whether it is BAE Systems,
Fantastic.
Tesla. So these companies are housed together with us. So this is where industry and university comes close. And just to put it in simple words, it can't get any closer than this because this is where the next outcome and next innovations are happening.
Right.
We also have a seed funding initiative where
The startups. Wow.
startups, yeah, and a lot of these companies that I mentioned before need research talent, need people who can take the challenge, and our students are the ones who are being placed for short duration. They happen to be, and just to give an example, some of these have become the managers in those companies.
Wow. This is
So-
this is one of the most thing which you
Yeah.
can wear on your head.
Yeah.
In fact, it is very interesting, Gorakh, that I know Flinders since a long time now. I know we know each other from a long time. During this conversation, I am getting few insights, right? Okay,
yeah.
which is something which needs to go back and be an input down the funnel, because what you spoke about, the way it is been in-house, the way because the students needs to understand that when we talk about work integrated learning within a course, it is not about just a subject or a capstone just there in the part of curriculum. What you mentioned about the process, right? And one very, why for a placement, as you said, why for a placement an employer will spend their time out of their work, come to the university and kind of have this entire process. So that means they are definitely looking to occupy the best talent once they complete the course and are able to be successful in the placement.
Absolutely.
And this is a very big I would say one of the key of insight today. Gorakh, when it comes to traditionally the way counseling used to happen to all the students, right? There were a lot of usage of brochures, right? And a lot of content which was going, because there was not much of the social media, right? And a lot of connect to the alumni network also used to happen by the counselor, specifically in in a time, or it was my time in that way, right? What do you think that the way current counseling happens to the students, right? What more needs to be added in the modern era versus what the student's mindset is, to give them a complete experience before they could take their first step?
Very interesting question, and it has got different aspects to it.
Right.
Number one is, who is the student? So we are basically addressing Gen Z here.
Correct.
And very soon we'll be addressing Gen Alpha.
Right.
And they have very different media habits. They
Right.
have very different decision-making abilities.
Right.
Their social skills are very different to the previous generation. Even the difference between Gen Z and Gen Alpha is starkly coming to surface now, because Gen Alpha
Absolutely.
was born with iPad and iPhone.
I agree.
So I'd said that the counselors who are counseling probably may not have noticed that they're basically now going to the second, and now very soon they'll be to the third generation of the way they think.
The mindset is.
So if you're talking to Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, then a lot of brochures and thick leaflets, prospectus and all doesn't mind, because it's a technology prompted or technology accustomed generation.
Correct.
Number one. Number two, the attention span is very little.
Correct.
I've seen in number of events that you give a thick brochure, they don't even flick through it. Even
Right.
if flick through it, they just look at 3-4 pages.
Right.
So if you want those 3-4 pages, then let's give them 3-4 pages.
Right.
That's where we should be hitting. We have, and I think most other universities have also cut down a lot on producing those big brochures and prospectus. I'm talking student point of view.
Agreed. Agreed.
Counselors and agents, yes, they need that. So we don't do that. At
Right.
the same time, we switching completely to social, it can also be detrimental, because if you switch everything to social, it's same of same.
Absolutely. Same of same.
So how do you stand out
Right.
from that? So I
Yeah.
think it's a combination of filtering out what exactly they want
Correct.
and giving them this in terms of social, the content that they
More direct approach.
Absolutely, yeah. So the filtration is very, very important here. Number one. Number two, the parents are also decision makers here.
Right.
Right. So parents are not consuming the same media. They are definitely may not be as techno friendly as the generation is.
Absolutely.
So that's where the face-to-face counseling comes into play.
Right.
Now again, face-to-face counseling will stay and will never go, because we tried that during COVID.
I
Right?
I agree.
That we were forced to do all online ways of doing business. After that, you must have realized, and I still remember an article by one of the PVCIs of the university saying,
Right.
after COVID is finished, I'm talking, this was during COVID, and we didn't know when COVID is going to finish.
Yes.
And the PVCI said the ways to do international education is going to change. We probably may not take the flights. We'll all do online. Flick of a second, I think less than 3 months when borders opened, it all came back, because
Absolutely.
the underlying fact is, when parents are investing anywhere upward $200,000 Australian dollars in their child's education,
Right.
they want assurance, they want support, they want to see who this counselor is, they want to see who the university is. That's why university travels as well. So I think going forward, it's a combination of both these.
Both the things.
Yeah.
Right.
So you attack the young generation with a direct content, if understanding what their social habits are.
Agree.
But if you're going to parents who are paying for it and making decisions, I think you have to take more traditional approach, where they want to touch and feel the whole process.
So more of a hybrid mode,
It
sort
is
of a
required.
model. The way hybrid working is a lot in
Yeah.
picture right now,
Yeah.
where it's not totally online and totally offline as well.
Yeah.
The same way as you recommend that counseling could play a big role over the same.
Yeah.
And-
Another
yes.
another aspect that I will add, and I try that with a lot of parents, is when they come and see you, and of course they are comparing other universities. And
I agree.
the question that I ask is, okay, this particular course, how many other universities you're considering? And they might say, okay, I'm considering Flinders in Adelaide, couple of them in Melbourne, and definitely one or two in Sydney. And I tell them that, look, if you're committing to, let's say, $200,000 for your child's future and
Right.
career, why don't you spend another $5,000 or $6,000? Come to Australia,
Take a trip.
take
Yes.
a trip, see what Flinders has to offer, also see what other universities have to offer, because then you cut to the chase. You're not trusting the social or the fancy brochures or leaflets. You're
Absolutely.
coming to the campus. We will take you to the college where your child wants to study, and you see for yourself whether that is right for you. Or if you go to Melbourne, if you go to Sydney, find any university that you think is right for your child. That's an insurance. Yes, additional
Absolutely.
$5,000 for you. But I think that, okay, not everyone will have capacity or time, but I think I bring it out to the parents every time that it is really important that you commit to that 10 days, commit to that $5, $6, $10,000, whatever that.
No, I think I completely agree with that because it's so practical, right?
Yeah.
It's basically, as you just mentioned before, the exam for Mercedes, right? It's basically taking a Mercedes and not having the money for petrol, right? That's not possible, right? So it's all about priorities, right?
Yeah.
And I think this should be prioritized so that what they see, what they
Yeah.
hear, what they
No
interpret,
surprises.
there will be no surprises whatsoever
Yeah.
for their child whom they are investing their lifetime savings
Yeah.
into that, and that's a very good insight. Gorakh, if you had to wear a hat of a student today and of a representative today from the other side, because you're already wearing the hat of
Yeah.
university, so I'm going to put these two
On the other side,
situations.
yeah.
What, and it's a very broad question, what different you would do and why?
Uh, it's an interesting question. What I would do is I'll probably switch the counseling is done. I will shift the focus uh, to what the passion is.
Correct.
It's really important to follow your passion.
Yes.
I have seen some students who come here for, let's say, nursing in this case,
Yeah.
because obviously it has got good um, career outcomes.
Career
It has
outcomes.
also got good migration.
Migration.
Right.
Yeah.
And health is the area where Australia definitely needs a lot more employers to coming.
Correct.
But if you are going for nursing and if you don't like blood, then you basically have chosen a wrong course. That means you will be frustrated when you come here. So I will see the whole conversation about what you like.
Correct.
Once you choose a course which is your passion,
Right.
which is what you would like to do, when you
Correct.
come here, all the outcomes will automatically happen
Very
because your
much.
passion will drive everything. So I think I will switch the conversation to what you like, what your dreams are.
You don't
rather-
have to push. You don't
Yeah.
have to push. The self push will automatically come.
there, and then accordingly you choose your university, choose your course. Also go to the subject level to see what makes more sense to you.
Right.
Have a conversation with university. We also connect students to the academics, and we are very proud to do that because we really like it. Someone wanting to know something that I can't answer. I'm very
Absolutely.
happy to connect to the academics because academics are also very excited
Right.
to answer those questions. When you
Correct.
come to the roadshow, these are the type of students who come to us and who ask such questions. So I think the whole conversation needs to be shifted slightly if I were to change that.
Correct. And when it comes to the current, one change you would state that we as a industry community, right? There's a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
right? In terms of quality and quantity, which was one of the question to one of the other industry leader as well, right? But if I put it in a nutshell, there's so much of pressure for a student, for a university, and for an agent as well, right? And even the entire way the economic sector is going currently, the education economic sector. How do you think that each party can support each other and be a better community for the international education industry, which is predominantly huge, but in a way, compared to other industry, it may not be,
Yeah.
to be a better place for moving forward?
I think just to answer that question, shared goal is very important.
Right.
And the goal has been set by Australian government. And
Correct.
we all have to quickly align to that
Right.
and make sure that integrity of Australian education is maintained.
Right.
And integrity of Australian education is not just government's job or DH's job. It is your job, it is my job, and everybody involved in the industry.
Right.
Just because this is not just education, this is Australia's future that we are talking.
Correct.
And Australia has very clear idea about what that future looks like.
Right.
And we are all playing a very important role in a broader sense
Right.
to achieve that future.
Correct.
So as long as we all agree that yes, we are not here for business, we
Yeah.
are basically for that grand future. And as long as we accept, yes, the integrity is in line and we all are part of that integrity, I think things will be very easy.
Correct. I think that's a fantastic response that at the end of the day, we want education to be a creditable
Yeah.
notion.
Yeah.
At our disposal rather than just a commercial notion.
Yeah.
And that is where integrity, even if it's a commercial,
Yeah.
integrity plays absolutely a very big role. And in a very short frame, you have explained a very broader perspective, and it is very clear that the quickly you align,
Yeah.
the quickly you accept,
Yeah.
the better it is
Yeah.
for everyone,
all of us.
for all of us, right? Okay. And then it becomes a very smooth journey.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was going good.
Yep.
Fantastic.
We're about 38 minutes if we caught up.
That's it. Uh,
Really like that stuff about passion, like that.
Yeah.
If I could go
Gorakh
back in
is-
time and talk to myself when I was 18, I'd be like, don't worry about that, do that.
yeah.
But again, remember at 18, you don't know nothing.
No, I didn't know.
You know,
nothing.
so it's very hard, you know.
That's hilarious. I think if I could go back to my old self, I'd be a good counselor, but I probably wouldn't listen to myself. You know what I mean?
True, true.
I'd be like, what do you know?
Yeah, true, true. That's so true.
Oh dear.
Okay. 2 questions है, उसके बाद rapid fire है.
ठीक है.
Gaurav, the best way currently, one of the best way for students to connect with universities is a lot of in-country expos, which happens where, and even faculty expos happens where universities come down. However, is that the only way for the student to connect with the universities and hear from them? Because that expos happens in a limited
Yeah.
time frame, right? How can they access real time information? What do you think is the best and the quickest way?
There are many ways students can connect to the university and find different aspects, whether it is learning or living or student support. There's a lot available on the website as well. But one thing that I would clearly point out is in this case, Flinders has a battery of student ambassadors.
Right.
They are full-time available, and we got student ambassadors specific to that regions. We got
Fantastic.
Sri Lankan, we got Indian, we got Bangladeshi, so we got all those. So these resources are actually available for prospective students. So I would recommend them to connect with the student ambassadors and talk to them. Ask them, what is it like studying at Flinders University? What is it like living in Adelaide? How do you balance your study and work? How do you use your breaks? These are the questions they should be asking. We also have student ambassadors. We can help them with very specific subject related questions.
Oh, wow.
Someone wants to know about medicine. What happens in third year of medicine? Because that's when the internships happen, right?
Correct.
And all medicine students want to know about internship because that's what they are aiming for, right?
Correct.
Ask them, what happens during internship? Do I get inpatient experience? Do I get to what type of hospitals do I get to? I would strongly recommend students to take that opportunity, which obviously is with Flinders, but I'm sure all other universities also have that. Talk to the students who have lived that life or lived that experience, because that's where you'll relate most.
No, I think you very rightly said. And the reason mainly is because, at times students may need a complete specific or rather unbiased opinion,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
They can have, and at the same time, the facts needs to be crystal clear, right? Which has to go. Obviously, there are representatives to validate and help them to their visa journey and counseling journey, but I think the approach needs to be changed, because a lot of students miss that aspect, that the only door
Yeah.
to meet the university is via representative or via those education expo. But I think that's a very good point, what you stated, that student ambassadors, which they are really experienced,
Yeah.
like as you said, I don't think so representative can always state, unless, because it is very specific question that, okay, what happens in the third year of medicine, right? Okay, correct. And I think that applies for all the fields, be it engineering, be it everything, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a very, and in the next 5 years, what do you think, in your opinion, which are the industries which are upcoming and booming, which is unique in itself?
Yeah. So there are two questions in that question. Number one is, which industries are going to drive the demand? Now, the industries, and in Australian context, the education industry and the job market are very closely connected.
Correct.
So if the job market is changing, the education industry is adjusting itself automatically.
Absolutely.
So in that sense, this answer makes a lot of sense to the students who may be listening to this podcast. Number one, obviously, comes health. Australia has been playing catching up game with health for a long time, and I can foresee that that's going to stay for
That's
a
going
while.
to
So
stay.
if your interest is in health, then you probably won't go wrong. There will be a lot more opportunities here to to experience that side of health. Number two is technology. Now, technology is rapidly changing as it is changing anywhere in the world. Right?
Agreed.
With the influx of AI, everything that we are doing now compared to 5 years is already changed. Look at how many times you go to ChatGPT, and I can honestly admit that 4 years ago I didn't know ChatGPT exists. But
No.
I can't predict what's going to happen after 5 years
Right.
because AI is getting so integrated in our daily life. So if you are technology, then Australia definitely needs your skill.
Correct.
The third and most interesting, and as you said, unique, is going to be infrastructure and construction.
Fantastic.
Australia is playing a catch-up game with housing. Governments have woken up to this fact, whether it is state governments, federal governments. A lot of announcements are happening. A lot of budgets have been committed. That means all things related to construction industry is definitely going to be booming for foreseeable future.
Right.
But what is unique in this sense is the infrastructure side of it. And I will specifically mention that in case of South Australia,
Right.
just to give you one project. So Torres to Darlington project is $15 billion projects.
Fantastic.
Thousands of jobs are coming to South Australia, and we just don't have people. Let's admit the fact.
Yes,
Our
we don't.
civil engineers don't even finish the course and they get placed. They get placed with private companies, builders, councils, everywhere they get placed. Just to throw one example.
Right.
Another place where South Australia clearly shines is defense industry. Whether it is frigates or whether it is AUKUS steel, it's all happening right here in South Australia, where we need world-class technology. We need students who are going to become that future workforce, And
Correct.
Flinders University is playing an important role in getting those students ready for those jobs.
Wow.
It's all happening. Thousands of jobs are going to come. And we are still looking for the answers. Where are the
Where is the workforce?
where is the workforce coming from, right? And third, very important aspect and very unique in terms of South Australia is space industry. South Australia is a capital of space industry for Australia. So much investments are already happening. There are more than 100 companies which are related companies which are already established their shops in South Australia.
Right.
I personally known some people who finished their, let's say, mechanical engineering, and instead of going into traditional mechanical job, they have gone to space industries.
Fantastic.
So when I'm talking about these industries, whether this is space or defense or construction infrastructure, I'm not talking about only technical jobs. They also bring non-technical jobs.
Right.
Because we'll need more accountants, we need more IT people.
Absolutely.
We'll also need more office managers. So
Yes.
this is definitely going to drive the growth. And the government is very, very aware of these acute shortages that are going to happen. And in that sense, education industry is poised, or should I say, absolutely ready to fill those gaps which are going to come.
This is absolutely interesting, or rather an eye-opening fact, which you stated about all the three industry, but specifically the defense and the space. If I may ask, when it comes to a student coming to in defense courses, what background are we looking for when it comes to defense?
So in defense, the jobs are technical and non-technical.
Okay.
So the technical jobs obviously will be more engineering based.
Yeah.
So if you have background like electrical, mechanical, obviously, you have.
They have a chance.
Correct. In terms of non-technical backgrounds, as I said before, they'll still need computer technicians and accountants and all. So the fact that a factory or an office has opened actually throws up a lot of jobs. Also remember, people who are going for, let's say, defense jobs, a lot of these jobs may be restricted to only citizens.
Right.
But when they are opening this job for citizens who are working elsewhere,
Right.
they are leaving this job for the new workforce. So it's a
Right.
chain
It's a
that's
chain.
feeding. So even if you may not directly get benefited or get direct job in defense,
Correct.
you actually got a job in company X because
of that.
yeah, because
That's
of
a
the
very
chain
good
effect.
insight, that proxy, it's not only proxy, but it's like a full-time
Yeah,
work,
yeah.
which they are
Yeah.
getting for temporary residents as well, which are on post-study work visa. As you said, that most of the students do get it before they complete their course. And that's a fantastic insight. And I'm sure that after listening to this specific part of the conversation, we will have a lot of students who would be curious to understand more about it, from a defense and space point of view. And a lot of females are also going into space. I'm seeing that. Are you also facing that from a cohort point of view?
We are, in fact, if you look, let's say restrict this to South Asia.
Correct.
So the females coming to hardcore jobs like engineering or IT for that matter, the percentage is increasingly going.
Fantastic.
Some of our best engineers placed, let's say, in this case, civil engineering, which is used to be complete no-go for females. Some of our best placed students actually are females.
Wow.
They've finished the civil engineering courses
Very
and
good.
got placed with really good jobs. So the whole mindset is changing in the industry as well, because civil engineering is the last industry where gender balance, traditionally
absolutely
wasn't happening. IT computer, yes, it was always more female driven.
Yes.
But we can see this mindset is completely changing as we speak.
No, I think, and because I think a lot of thing, as you said, is becoming a unified rather than just one gender specific. But no, I think it was a fantastic discussions today. Lots to take in, from my end as well, and from the students who would get this information. But before we leave on this conversation, there are a few rapid fire questions which we will go on over the same. So Gorakh, before we move towards the end of this conversation, there are some rapid fire questions for you, like a one word or no word also is fine. One mistake commonly the students do while doing part-time jobs.
They think that their part-time jobs can pay enough money to pay for their course.
Okay, right. And which is that one thing which an Indian parent have a misconception?
About their safety and security.
Right.
Australia is a perfectly safe place.
Correct. And what is that one thing students should stop comparing themselves to?
They compare their part-time jobs with other students, but accept the fact some get less paid, some get more play.
Correct.
That's fine.
And which is that one thing the student should immediately notice about a university?
So universities normally notice how committed that student is. It doesn't take that long. Academics are very experienced and they find out, the passion and a lot of opportunities come to such students like, part-time research and such things.
So it's very quick.
Yeah.
Okay. And my last question is that a student leaving their home country and going to an abroad country, right? What is that they need to be open with?
They should be expecting a very different learning style here. Let's say in terms of South Asia, we are taught in the class.
Correct.
Here, you're not taught in the class. There is significant portion of assumed knowledge and preparation that goes before you come into the class. So this can be, in that sense, a shock to the students. So they need to be prepared that the whole learning style is very different from what they come from.
Absolutely. No, I think we come to the end of this conversation, Gorakh. It was fantastic to have, this chat with you. And I am sure there is a lot for, to give back. In fact, to my team as well, right? Yeah. And a lot of learnings as well. And I just hope and I'm sure that this industry is going to be more and more benefiting for the upcoming future students, right? Because as I always say that the show must go on, right? Few adjustments here and there, but it doesn't change that Australia is one of the most prime destination currently for students who want to come and pursue their career, right? So thank you so much, Gorakh.
Thank you, Ridhii, for having, and I hope future students listening to this benefit from this podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
Absolutely.